Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Star Trek Online once more. I'm Bull, I'm your host, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit screwy. Partially because I messed up. I have actually done this particular Part 7 for my video series twice already now, and both times decided not to use it. The first time was because the video was bad. Something screwed up, and it really wasn't usable. So I replayed it, but at the end of video 8, I had made the suggestion that I was going to try out a video on a higher difficulty level. If you open up your missions, available missions, or let's see, in progress. Here we go. You can see down at the bottom of that window, there's a difficulty option, and you can change it normal, advanced, and elite. And I had never really messed with the difficulty thing, so I'm not entirely sure. I wasn't sure how it affected things. So I said, what the heck, we're going to bump up the difficulty because these missions have been pretty easy. Well, unfortunately, advanced difficulty, which is what I put it to, didn't really make the mission more difficult per se. It just made the enemies a lot tougher. I still didn't take significant damage, although I did take a good deal more damage than I had been taking. But I was still never really in any danger. However, the fights took 2 to 3 times longer because the enemies just had a lot more hit points, and the AI is a little bit smarter. So if you want to give yourself a little bit more of a challenge, go ahead and bump things up a little bit. But it really just makes the fights drag out, is all it seemed to me. Elite might be a lot different. I don't know. I'm not going to try it. For purposes of this video, I'm not going to go ahead and try it because you want to experience the gameplay. You want to experience the storyline, I'm guessing, hopefully. Hopefully that's why you're watching these and not to listen to me make an idiot of myself. Although the latter is a perfectly valid reason and probably entirely true. So anyways, I am now level 9. So I'm kind of skipping around a little bit, so you'll see a little inconsistency between this video and video 8 when you get to it. So, however, this does give me a chance to show you the replay options. So I'm going to go to episodes, and you can actually once you're through the various mission story arcs, you can go back to any of them, and most missions will have a replay option. A few of them don't. The Welcome to Earth Space Dock, most of the opening missions don't, and that's because they're just a hey, go talk to your officer, and he sets up the storyline. But you'll see, like, Stranded in Space, Diplomatic Orders, these all do. So we're going to go back down, and Researcher Rescue is where we left off. So I'm going to replay that. And you may notice, if you just got done watching the Part 6 video, that my options for loot is a little bit different. I'm not sure how much I looked at that at the end of the last mission. When you do a replay, sometimes your quest rewards change up a little bit. There are some things that are only going to be available the first time you do the mission, but you usually automatically get those. Now, some missions you're actually going to want to replay at least once, because there are what they call set pieces in the game. These are items. There might be 2 or 3 or 4 items in a set. And these items, the more of them you have equipped on a character or on your ship, they get an additional bonuses for having more pieces of the set. For example, there is a Breen set that you'll see later on. And it's like engines, shield, and a deflector, I think. And if you have 2 of them, you get 1 extra bonus. If you have all 3 of them, you'll get 2 bonuses, besides whatever the actual items themselves give you. However, there are some missions that give out 2 pieces of that, but you only get to choose 1. So the first time you'll go in it, you might get the engines, but then you might need to replay that mission to go in and get the deflector dish, or something along those lines. There are other missions that you may want to replay because the item that they give you is really good, and you want to get multiples of them. There's a couple of missions that give out really nice, interesting, and somewhat unique weapons. And so you may want to go through and decide, oh, well, I want to equip my ship with an entire loadout of this weapon. in which case you're going to want to replay that mission 4 or 5 or 6 or 8 times, or however many you need for that weapon. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and accept, and we need to go to the Kasai system, and coincidentally enough, I'm right there. So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to zone right in. Alright, and in we come. And oh no, Gorn ships. We have to defeat 2 squadrons of Gorn ships. We're going to speed up a little bit to get a little closer to them. Oh, and we've got fighters. Fighters are obnoxious. They're not particularly tough, but they're small, they're very fast, they're very nimble, and they tend to be a little bit harder to hit. You'll see I'm missing quite a bit against them. They have a really high defense because they're so small. But they do go down pretty quick once you do hit them. And fighters are a good reason to use things like beam arrays, because fighters are small and nimble enough that they won't stay in your front arc. So if you're using weapons like cannons and whatever, fighters can be kind of a pain. So it's good to have things that have a good rear arc or a good side arc, because it makes it a lot easier for you to hit those ships that are going to be faster than you and more maneuverable. All right, so that freighter or frigate and the fighters I just had counted as my first group. So now I have one more group to finish, and that is a frigate. Nope, 3 frigates. So we're going to get in here a little closer. Let's pop on full impulse. And yeah, this fight, when I did it on advanced, this fight itself took almost 20 minutes. Just because I got much tougher ships. And like I said, they just fought a lot smarter, and they were a lot more powerful. As far as shields and defense, they really didn't do a whole lot more damage. They definitely did some more shield damage, but even with all the shield damage they were doing, I still never really took much hull damage. So in case you're wondering, you'll see there are 2 numbers coming off of the ship when I fire. There's a set of white numbers and a set of yellow numbers. This is because when you're doing damage to a ship that has shields up, most of your damage will go to the shields, but there is some bleed through, which means I'm still doing a little bit of damage to their hull even if their shields are up. This is really nice for ships that have massive shields or high shield regeneration, because it means you can still do damage to the ships. And then, of course, once you knock a shield facing down, then you're doing damage directly to the hull, so you're doing a lot more damage directly to the ship. So, just in case you were wondering. Alright, scan satellite. Oh, Captain, the communications array has been heavily damaged by the Gorn. At this range, I should be able to contact the research station on Kasai 2. However, the station is not responding to hails. The scanners are detecting signs of a fire on the station. Sir, the researchers may be in trouble. Recommend we send an away team down to the surface. Alrighty, so we're going to gather my team and we're going to head down. Now, you may notice right off the bat that I am wearing different uniforms. And I kind of talk about that in the next video. I actually originally set that up after I did the first time I did this particular mission, between this and mission 8. Alright. But anyways, so I'll talk a little bit more about that. I just felt a new uniform was in order. So, watch my next video. I'll tell you a little bit about the uniforms and what I'm wearing. Alright, so, I have to rescue 7 scientists, and I just rescued 1. There are also fires on the station that I have to deal with. Now, this gives you a little bit of tutorial to special device items that you'll get. You'll see in my inventory, and I'll drag it out here, I have a special device called a fire suppression device. When you come into this mission the first time, there would be one here on the wall glowing. Since I've already done the mission, it's not glowing anymore because I have one. However, if I discard it, I should be able to take... Yeah. Now it's kind of glowing as a Uzi. We're going to get a little closer, and I can take another one. So if you discard yours, or you lose it somehow, you can always pick up another one. So, anyways, fire suppression device, and then you want to make sure that you have the fire suppression device on your hotbar. I do not at the moment, so I'm going to drag this down to here. Drag this down to here. There we go. And this will give me a fire extinguisher. And the way the fire extinguisher works is you run up near a fire, and the fire is actually an object, although you can't click on it, but if you do this, you'll see that the fire extinguisher is doing damage, so to speak, to this. And that will put out the fire. Now, I'm going to be honest, you're going to grow to hate the fire extinguisher and any item along those lines. There's a few of them in game. The reason being because there were douchebags who will run around like Earth Space Dock just spraying those things all over the place, especially in crowded areas like around the exchange. And unfortunately, people are people, and there are people that love to just be dumbasses in the middle of a MMO. So like I said, you'll eventually get to hate that thing because you'll see people just running around spamming that over and over and over again. It's just obnoxious and pointless, and they're just doing it to be a jerk. So, but for the time being, I have a fire suppression device, and I'm going to use it to put out fires, which is what it's for. So anyways, we have some Gorn, and they've got a scientist around it, so we're going to free the scientist. And Gorn, 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 Gorn. Alright. We'll talk to the scientist. He's going to write a paper about all this. Thanks. And we're going to move on. Alright. Now, I'm not going to bother doing most of these because it's not really necessary for me, but if you're interested in accolades, there is an accolade for putting out every fire. So, you want to run around and find all of the fires. The accolades don't really do a whole lot for you, some of them. Especially the ones that are just the, collect things and get collect things and get a thingy for the mission. But they're still kind of fun. They give you a little extra oomph. They're like achievements in like an Xbox game. They're not really doing anything for you, for the most part. Some accolades do give you titles. Some give you a little bit of a passive bonus. I know that as you take damage, you'll see accolades that'll give you they'll give you either bonus damage or bonus resistance to damage types or whatever. But the little silly ones like this aren't going to do a whole lot for you. But I like to collect them anyways when I can. Alright. So we'll have to put out this one so that I can get through the door. Now, in theory, I can just run right through the fire, but I will take damage. It's not a ton of damage. However, the more you stay in the fire, the more damage you will take. It's exponential. Oops, wrong button. I'm trying to revive the fire. Excellent. I can't thank you enough. And then there's a loot box. And honestly, these crates almost never have anything good in them. Oh, and you will notice here there is another little fire extinguisher station. The reason for this being is that those are, I believe, one use only each. So if you take a fire extinguisher from there and then you lose it, you can't get another one from the same station, I think. The other reason why there's multiples of them is that if you come in here with other captains, if you're teaming up with some friends to do this mission, they will replace your bridge crew. So say I came in here with 2 buddies, I would have 2 buddies instead of, say, Korspa and Thorl. And then the other 2 away team would be divided up between me and my other 2 buddies. So say I might have Chalks, and then my buddy might bring in his scientist or something. Anyways, so then your buddies can also pick up a fire extinguisher while they're in here, since there's multiple stations. Alright, and we're going to continue on with this little bit of nonsense. Oh, hey, excellent. The mines actually worked for a change. Yeah, I don't actually use them all that often because they just never seem to... Things seem to run over them really quickly. Run over through. Alright, see, I'm going to run in here and I'm just taking a little bit of damage, and when I run out, I stop taking damage. However, if I stay in here, you'll see the damage is going up, and I'm taking a lot more damage pretty quick. Yeah, there we go. Now I'm taking a lot more damage. Especially once your shields go down. So you want to be careful and not... Well, and there's the standard disclaimer for any MMO. You don't stand in the fire. When I used to do Warcraft and I would do raid leading, the standard phrase that our raid group used to use was "don't stand in the shit," because it wasn't always fire. You know, sometimes it was poison, sometimes it was just a glowy on the ground that meant something bad was going to happen there. And either way, if you see something on the ground underneath your feet, you probably want to move. Alright, I'm just going to jump over here because I don't really care. I'm ignoring most of the fires. I got to put this one out because there's one last, because I'm at 6 of 7. Here is number 7. There we go. Actually, there we go. Get some Gorns for me. Oh, he's a little bit bloodthirsty. Alright, and that's it. And like I said, if I was going to go ahead and try for the accolade, I'd go run around and put out the rest of the fires, but since I already did it, I'm just going to return to my ship. Course laid in for Kasai 4, we can leave on your command. Alright, so I'm going to warp to Kasai 4. Zoom. Zoom, zoom. And we are at Kasai 4. And, oh, look, I have to defeat more Gorn. I'm shocked. There's a two-Atari cruiser, which is a little bit beefier and heavier than the frigates I was fighting before. And again, this fight took so much longer when I was doing it on advanced. So, like I said, if you want a little bit of an extra challenge and you want your enemies to be a little bit more difficult, definitely, you know, try out advanced or even elite. And they do they supposedly give you a little bit better rewards. I'm not really sure what they were. I didn't notice it particularly. I think you get a little bit of extra XP. That was really about it. So I'm not going to worry about it too much. And there are some mines, and I can shoot them down. Yeah, if you're quick, you can shoot down mines when they're coming in at you, but not always. Let's jam his sensor so he can't fire at me for a couple seconds. We will give a little bit of high-yield torpedoes. There we go. That ought to do some damage. You got to be careful, because if you notice, his shields came up a little bit just before the torpedoes hit, which meant the torpedoes didn't do nearly as much damage as they would have, which is a shame. Oh, and I'm gonna, yeah, mines. Yeah, the two-Atari does lay mines down behind it, which is kind of annoying. Yay! Blown him up. If you're next to something and it's destroyed and it's about to blow up, evasive maneuvers is your friend. That has saved my bacon on more than one occasion. Alright, so now we need to beam down. It appears the ship is safe for now. They've located the dig site, but there is a high-intensity energy field, and I gotta find the archaeologist. So let's beam down. And let's go see what we can see. Continue. Alright. Close that up. Alright, now we'll see that we have to disable 3 energy towers. This is the main area, the main building, and you can see the little orange glowing in the door there that indicates there's force fields blocking our way. And there are 3 beams coming out of those, and if you follow the beam, oh, yep, there's a little tower, and that is going to be the energy tower we need to disable. So alright, we got a heavy ranger, a mortar. Oof. I ate a little grenadage. But we got some loot. Alright, we've disabled the tower. Alright, I picked up some armor. Down, you can see your little loot window down here. It'll be either above your chat window, or if you have it minimized, it'll be just down in the corner. And I think let's see, status R2, R2. Okay. Alrighty, I wasn't sure. I thought one of my NPCs still needed armor. They do not, and since it's just white armor, it's not going to be, you know, really any better than what they've already got. Now you'll see there are Gorn all over the place, so I can kind of skirt the edges a little bit and avoid some of them. And these guys here, I'm going to have to fight when I come back, because eventually I got to come back to this building and go through the force field. So I'm going to see if I can take out these guys that are here now. Now, you'll see there's something else here called a Rowick. The Rowicks are big, they're nasty, they're big and heavy in wood. Or, well, that's log, actually. But you'll see that they have this special thing where they pick up a chunk of concrete and they throw it at you. And it has a high probability of knocking your ass over, which is just fun. They're also pretty tough. You'll see it's taking significantly more damage to drop that. They're a little annoying, but they're not too bad. Alright. We're actually going to come around, and we're going to go to this back one first. But, oh, there's another Rowick. Alright, so let's, yep, down this path here. Yeah, eventually you got to clear out all those ones at the base anyways. So there's really no point to taking a shortcut, fighting your way through, unless, of course, you're just looking for things to kill and loot to drop. So anyways, I have a handler here, and you'll see there are some attack SAR. The attack SAR are like the targs you saw in one of my earlier videos. And the handler will continually summon them up as we fight. So we want to take out the handlers first, and it looks like there's actually 2 of them. Now, fortunately, a nice grenade usually deals with all the critters, at least at this level. But... oh! Speaking of, don't stand in the stuff, and this is why this guy's called a mortar. He will launch a mortar shell at you, and you'll get a nice warning saying, hey, something's about to land here. It's a lot like the grenades. You get that little glowy on the ground, and you have a couple of seconds to move. It's fairly handy to see. When you use mortars or grenades or whatever, you will also see the area effect lined up underneath of them. Fortunately, the NPCs tend not to react the same way. Of course, if you're doing PvP, the other players will react. So, grenades and area of effect stuff is a little less useful in PvP combat. Alright, we got another group with a Rawak again. So, like I said, I drop mines just in case, but they tend not to ever be all that useful. Oh! Oh, I got smacked around with that concrete. But, oh hey, he got him. Didn't kill him. But the mines actually were useful for a change. The first two videos I did this, every time I laid those mines down, everything just ran right through them and ignored them. It was really kind of obnoxious. Alright, we got enemies on either side. I suspect we're not going to get out of this without a fight. So let's, these guys were just way too close. I'm actually kind of surprised we did not pull the enemies that were behind us. Oh, and he actually dropped a mortar that time, which is kind of cool. You'll eventually see more of these turrets. Oh, and there's the new Dominion lockbox. That's gone in since the last time I did a video, I believe. I like the new Dominion lockboxes. They're shiny. There's some cool toys that are in those. Lockboxes, if you're not aware of what they are, I think I mentioned them in an earlier video. And eventually you'll get sick of them because you'll get the new lockboxes and they're like, oh cool, there's a bunch of new stuff in them. But eventually you're just picking up so many of them. And unfortunately they're hard to open because they require lockbox keys. And lockbox keys primarily can only be gotten off of the Zen store. You can buy them on the exchange, but they're really pricey. They tend to run somewhere in the neighborhood of 1.5 million energy credits, which makes them pretty expensive. You can buy them on the Zen store if you've got Zen, the cryptic store technically. I tend to refer to it as the Zen store. You can buy them on the cryptic store, and I think they're. Well, let's take a look. Keys are 125 each, or you can buy a 10-pack for 1,125, so you get a little bit of a discount. You technically are getting one key free if you buy it. You get 10 for the price of 9. And there is some really good stuff that you can get out of lockboxes. Out of the Dominion lockbox, there's a couple. There's several new ships that you can actually get. There's a couple of Mirror Universe ships, which is a Mirror Universe version of a normal ship that's in the game already. But it's slightly different. In this case, it's a couple of tactical ships that are a little bit more engineer-based instead of tactical-based. I think they basically have like an engineer and a tactical bridge officer slot switched around, so that you can do slightly more engineering with them. Oh, and there's another one of those. We've got boxes, and we've got loot, and there is a body. If you do this mission for the first time, that body will give you an accolade, so there's one more accolade you can get in this mission. And that's right there. Since I've already done it, I can't get the accolade a second time, but I am all done, and I can beat... Oh, I forgot to loot my box. I completely missed that. Anyways, Dominion lockboxes also have... there's a bunch of other stuff you can get from them. You can look it up on the STO wiki or whatever. They're really handy, but like I said, they're a little expensive to try to open. I know I occasionally save up my my gold membership stipend, because if you're a gold member, every month you'll get 500 Zen. So I will tend to save up my stipend and then buy some keys sometimes, and then I will also save up money and buy some keys because, like I said, I like the stuff that comes out of lockboxes, but A lot of people refuse to buy them, and that's fine. You can play this game perfectly well without ever getting lockbox items. And there's some more stuff you can do out of lockboxes, and I'll show you that eventually. Maybe I'll actually save up for some stuff and get some lockbox keys with this character and open a couple just to show you kind of what's going on with it. But that'll be at a later date. Alright, now this big green cloud this guy just dropped. The Orion guys, or the Gorn guys, will occasionally do this, and they're kind of obnoxious. Alright, and I have disabled the ship by doing enough damage to it. That is a plasma cloud, or vent warp plasma, I believe, is the power that is, and you can get that as an engineering skill. But it's kind of annoying because if you fly into it at all, it'll do a plasma DOT, a damage over time, and that ignores your shield, so it's doing it directly to your hull. On top of that, it will slow you down, and it will just destroy your turning radius. So you'll get caught in that, and it makes you much easier to hit, and it's doing damage, and it's a bad thing. So you want to try to avoid those clouds if at all possible. Alright, so I need to beam the hostages off of the Gorn ship that I disabled. And now I can warp to sector space. So we're going to get out of here. And of course we're going to fly right through the Gorn ship as we do. The warping out is random as to what direction you go in, so sometimes you will warp through things, and it's kind of funny to watch and kind of silly, but you know, you roll with it. So anyways, alright, well, that's it for me tonight. If you, I should have already or shortly, we'll have part 9 up as well. And then when we come back, we will do War is Good for Business, which is the next mission on our line. Let's go ahead and accept this while we're at it. Researcher Rescue, Hail Starfleet. And I get to choose an item. I can choose a current lockbox, which will give you one of whatever the current lockbox is. Like I said, right now it's Dominion. I can choose a phaser stun pistol, or I can choose a phaser beam array. Fortunately, since I've done this a couple times now, I've gotten a couple of the phaser beam arrays. Don't need those. I'm pretty sure most of my characters are sitting on this good or better of a weapon, but we'll grab that anyways. Alright, so there we go. That was Researcher Rescue. Hopefully this particular video will actually come out because, wow, I've done this far too many times. And excellent. So until next time, have a good one, and we'll catch you later.